A unique characteristic of online shopping environments is that they allow vendors to create retail interfaces with highly interactive features. One desirable form of interactivity from a consumer perspective is the implementation of sophisticated tools to assist shoppers in their purchase decisions by customizing the electronic shopping environment to their individual preferences. Trade unions originated in Europe during the Industrial Revolution. Because of the machinery that had become commonplace, skilled labor became less in demand, so employers had nearly all of the bargaining power. Employers mistreated the workers and paid them too little for the work they did. Trade unions were organized that would help in the improvement of working conditions. In comparing material with non-material culture, the first being the objects and technologies we create, and the second our customs, beliefs and attitudes, the speaker gives greater emphasis to the material culture. He gives the example of the development of genetic science and the benefits it has brought to mankind, despite a fair amount of opposition. Writers may make the mistake of making all their sentences too compact. Some have made this accusation against the prose of Gibbon. An occasional loose sentence prevents the style from becoming too formal and allows the reader to relax slightly. Loose sentences are common in easy, unforced writing, but it is a fault when there are too many of them. Environmental problems caused by hard rock mining involve water pollution by metals themselves, chemicals used in processing, acid drainage, and sediment. Metals and metal-like elements in the ore are toxic and prone to cause trouble by ending up in nearby streams and water tables as a result of mining operations. When a virus invades your cells, it kicks your immune machinery into motion. The first responders are signaling proteins, called interferon. And they trigger downstream immune responses. So you can kind of think of them as the hormones of the immune system. They're triggered and then they stimulate a bunch of other immune responses that are more specific to that pathogen. Electronic discourse is one form of interactive electronic communication. In this study, we reserve the term for the two-directional texts in which one person using a keyboard writes language that appears on the sender's monitor and is transmitted to the monitor of a recipient, who responds by keyboard. Climate changes is an accepted theory among a group of reputable scientists. Climate changes is an accepted theory among a group of reputable scientists. Control systems in manufacturing require a high level of accuracy. Control systems in manufacturing require a high level of accuracy. If finance is a cause of concern, a scholarship will be available. If finance is a cause of concern, a scholarship will be available. Important details are missing from the summary. Important details are missing from the summary. It might not be possible to solve the problem easily. It might not be possible to solve the problem easily. Supply and demand is one of the most fundamental factors in the academic economics. Supply and demand is one of the most fundamental factors in the academic economics. Teaching assistants will receive a monthly stipend for housing. Teaching assistants will receive a monthly stipend for housing. All evaluation papers are reviewed by the university personnel. All evaluation papers are reviewed by the university personnel. The placement test of mathematics and statistics is offered to every semester. The placement test of mathematics and statistics is offered to every semester. The same issue featured both explanations of the problem. The same issue featured both explanations of the problem. The scientists are always asking the government for more money. The scientists are always asking the government for more money. There is a pharmacy on campus near the bookstore. There is a pharmacy on campus near the bookstore. Host: family doctors are usually called GPs, or general practitioners. Speaker: my name is Louis Brassey. I'm a so-called general practitioner doctor in the center of London. I'm one of 2 doctors working in our clinic, and between us we have, let's say, 3,500 patients. England still has a system which it's had, really, since the Second World War, where theoretically every patient in England is registered with one family doctor, almost always near where they live. If they're ever sick, if any of the family are sick, they go directly, initially to the family doctor, unless it's an emergency, who, most cases, I think 80% of cases, he can sort out by himself. And about 20% of cases, if they need to see a specialist, he will send them on to whichever specialty is most appropriate. Rather than approaching a specialist directly, anybody who is sick under normal circumstances will go and see his general practitioner, who is qualified at a basic level in all sorts of different illnesses and can provide primary care. First of all, people tend to be registered with their GPs for a long period of time, so after a few years you tend to know the whole family, you tend to know each patient and the context in which they are turning up. You tend to have all the records to hand, you tend to know what illnesses they've had, what it's likely to be and what's in the family generally, which sometimes helps you, rather than somebody who would just come up to a doctor they've never seen before. No money is exchanged when you go to see a doctor in this country. We never ask for money for general medical services. The government pays us to look after patients using a kind of complex formula, a lot of which depends on how many people are registered with us. If you put extended pressure on your arm, by leaning or sleeping on it, it might go numb and then give you a tingling feeling. Your arm falls asleep like this because prolonged pressure on a nerve, or on a nerve's blood supply, can temporarily damage it. Nerves allow you to sense feeling by sending messages to the brain describing sensory input. If you touch a hot burner, you pull your hand back because the nerves in your hand have sent the message to your brain that your hand is in pain. When a nerve is compressed or when the blood supply to a nerve is compromised, the normal messages nerves send to the brain are stopped or altered. At this point, when the nerve is no longer functioning appropriately, numbness occurs. When the nerve begins to recover, you may feel a tingling sensation. This feeling of pins and needles is due to the fact that at the early stages of the nerve's recovery, it functions inappropriately, giving your brain misinformation. To understand why nerves work this way, we need to think about the anatomy of a nerve. Each nerve is filled with thousands of nerve fibers, each carrying specific information to the brain. Some of these fibers are large, others are small, and all recover at different rates. Because the thousands of fibers that make up a damaged nerve recover at different speeds, the message they collectively send the brain as they are recovering is inaccurate. So though your arm isn't actually tingling at all, the way it would if you received a mild electric shock, your brain believes that it's tingling because the brain always believes messages that nerves send whether those messages are accurate or not. From where do we get solar energy? What is the main gas that makes up the Earth's atmosphere? The doctor who specializes in the treatment of children's diseases. Whose job is it to treat people who are ill or have an injury at a hospital?